Welcome back to Amirdrassil Raid, looking for raid LFR Wing 1, and in this video we're talking about the second boss, that is right after the first boss Null Root that we talked about in the previous video. If you missed it, take a look. We're talking about no other than Igira the Cruel. Before we begin, in case it's the very first video that you're watching, listen, go to curseforge.com and install DBM Addon. I'll keep saying it in my videos very quickly because there is no reason for you not to have Deadly Boss Mods add-on that will tell you exactly when to taunt. You very much need it as a tank, and it massively helps any other role as well. Just do that before you continue. Okay, so Igira, she probably has some hidden second phase, but it all feels with her like one big phase of the fight. It's a rather long fight, and I found it a little bit boring, even though she has like one mechanic that is kinda okay, kinda interesting. First of all, what she does is she kinda does the frontal cone AoE, really in the form of 3 blades that are very easy to avoid, and you should obviously avoid it. Tanks get a stacking debuff called Drenched Blades. That Deadly Boss Mods add-on, at the very least, tells you very insistently to taunt away from the other tank when that Drenched Blades debuff reaches 6, the stack of 6. Otherwise it becomes a bit hard to manage for the healers, so you need to taunt when DBM tells you to taunt. She also marks the players with a spear, like it's kind of like this blazing spear in her hand. It looks alright, and that's the fun part, so to speak. She marks the 4 players with a spear. Ultimately, it's kind of like a puddle, an AoE puddle under their feet, and it's a rubber band effect. They can't run away. It's chains, really. It pulls them back. Well, you need to help kill those spears, yeah, and free your fellow players from the raid, of the raid. Some people say that it is better to stack those puddles on top of each other in order to cleave, to maximize the time of cleave on those spears and free people faster. However, obviously at the expense of extra ticking AoE damage from those stacking puddles underneath. But if your healers can handle this, and in LFI they probably can, in other difficulties they probably won't be able to, so be careful. But here, maybe stacking is not a terrible idea, so if you feel like suggesting it to the raid, go suggest it to the raid. They will not listen to you anyway, because it's LFR. Welcome to LFR. And now, she also does kind of a prominent leap slam kind of thing. She leaps, and then she does that kind of thing, and does quite a bit of damage. It's an AoE, don't get caught in that AoE. She also does Umbral Destruction effect, where it kind of looks like a swirly meteor-like AoE on a particular player, where other players are supposed to stack on the target, but not many do it because it's LFR. Welcome to LFR. And that minimizes the amount of impact damage, really, that happens. But you can survive, I suppose, in LFI if your healers are good and if you're using defensive cooldowns as a tank. However, the recommendation when you see any of that very specifically telegraphed swirly AoE, meteor-style AoE, you should stack on the target. There is also an effect for you to know about called Hard Stopper. She marks certain players with that Hard Stopper thing, and it's mostly a warning to the healers because it absorbs a substantial amount of healing, first of all, so they kind of, cannot be healed. The effective life pool decreases in that period of time, and then upon expiration, it explodes into quite a bit of Shadow Flame damage. And that's about it. That's about all about Igira. Something like Deadly Boss Mods add-on is making all of these encounters rather easy, other than positioning, because it can't position you, you have to position yourself properly. As a tank, I also recommend that in case you're dealing with a cleaving boss, I do not recommend standing in front of it. I do not recommend for both of you to stand here. What I recommend for you to do is, I recommend for you to always stand like this. So if the one tank is standing in front of the boss, you are standing on the side of it like this, so that the cleave does not hit you. Otherwise, both of you might get this debuff of the Drenched Blades. I haven't checked it because I'm a good tank, and this is like a basic stuff. You don't need to be in the world first guilds to do this kind of stuff. That's basic tanking stuff. Do not tank with both tanks in front of any boss, really, and the Igira the Cruel is probably a great place to start practicing that if you're a new tank. And if you're an old tank, you wouldn't be watching my videos, would you? That's it, my friends. That's the second boss of the first wing of LFR Amirdrassil Raid. If you enjoyed this, please give me a like, because YouTube is a very simple platform. It shows the video to more people, the more people like it. And the more of us here, the merrier, the more motivated I am to keep producing good content for you, my friends. And stay tuned for the final boss of LFR Wing 1, Smolderon, who is a little bit more annoying, I have to tell you ahead of time, but still nothing unmanageable, especially with a little guide like this one. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you next time.